everybody enjoy lunch? Meat lovers pizza? How many meat lovers out there? Raise your hand. How many Caesar salads? Okay. All right. Well, we're getting to the back half of the afternoon. We've got some great content still to come, starting with Ed and Jeremy. Ed is from Ed Haslam from YuMe, and Jeremy Lockhorn from Razorfish are going to talk about connected TV and best practices in that space. Can I have you guys come up?
I like the advertisement, the little 30-second, because it gives you like a little bit of a story and an animation, and you know, it just kind of catches your eye and make you want to look at the screen.
You can't help but look at it because that's the stimulation is coming from the corner, so you're gonna automatically look to whatever that is.
I like short to the point, cut to the chase. Don't have me just wandering on. Get to the point. If I want to make that choice to swatch it, let me get to it. If not,
right.
Go.
I think it's a neat feature that you can actually find out more information. I don't know that I would click on them every time, but if this was new for me, then I'd probably click on them more than I would if it was just something that was always there.
I just think the best thing is 30-second eye-catching. Here's what we have. This is why it benefits you. This is how much it costs. Do you want more information? It's very possible that I might click yes if it's something I'm in the market for.
You get to go right where you want to go and see what you want to see, so that makes it convenient.
If you know something is going to be viewed on a TV screen, you can't use what you're using on the internet, like on a regular computer screen. And there's just a big difference between people sit back further from it, they're not as engaged, you have to grab them.
TV is for the
right.
TV. That's why we have laptops to do the other things. But why tie up the TV doing everything? So I'd rather just use the TV to watch TV and go to my laptop if I want to order something or look something up.
So I don't begrudge the ads too much because I understand that they're financing these shows that I love so much. So, I'll do my part and watch them. At least, my conscience feels like I'm contributing the way I'm supposed to rather than like walking to the fridge or just skipping over the ad.
Okay.
So I accept it. And sometimes they're good too.
Great, thank you. I'm Ed Haslam. I'm from YuMe. I run marketing, and YuMe is a data science-driven, multi-screen video advertising company. And one of the screens we spend a lot of time trying to better understand with our partners, such as Razorfish, is the connected TV.
Yeah, and I'm Jeremy Lockhorn from Razorfish. My job basically is to help the agency and our clients figure out new channels like connected TV. And we've done the study in partnership with YuMe late last year, and we're excited to share the results. I also want to just give a shout out to and a huge thank you not only to YuMe but to our clients. We had a couple of clients that participated in this, Best Buy and Citi, and we've got Christine DeLandro from Citi who's joining us here as well. So if you've got additional questions afterwards, you can find me or Ed, or if you want the client perspective, Christine is back there as well and was a huge supporter, so thank you.
Great. So let's jump in. We don't have a ton of time. We'll get through these slides pretty quick. They summarize what you already saw in the video. So we set up this study basically based on the desire of buyers to better understand this platform. It's the newest, if you will, screen that allows interactive engaging digital video ad units in a variety of different contexts that we'll talk about. The methodology, as you see behind here, was set into 3 stages. First, we essentially asked people about how they use connected TVs, what kind of connected TVs they had in their house, and we'll talk a little bit about that. Then we actually watched them engage with the devices, with different ad creatives from the clients that wanted to participate in the study and learn a little bit more about how consumers think about this platform. And then finally, we had follow-up discussions with them about that. And what that looked like group profile-wise was a pretty good cross-section of America. The focus here is we screened for people who were either light or heavy TV viewers and were either light or heavy CTV viewers. And we had a nice mix across these 4 groups with 8 participants each. So when you look at what we actually showed, you see the advertisers we worked here with. There was one other one that didn't want to be made public. But this shows sort of the different stimuli we used. Different screen types, so they were smart TVs from Samsung and LG, along with a Roku OTT box that showed sort of pre-roll like ad units within app contexts. And then the PlayStation 3 was VidZone, which is a Vivo-like app that had a lot of different things like branding, takeovers, et cetera. Within the CTV, the ad units were click to video, click to engage, and click to browser, which are essentially little banner ads that show up within the UI of the connected TV, that if the right call to action or the right message is there, the user clicks and then goes to a variety of different experiences. And we got feedback on that as well. So looking at jumping over to let Jeremy take the situation analysis.
So quick show of hands. How many of you have at least one TV in your house that is connected to the internet in some way? Okay. How many have more than one TV? Okay. And how many of you, it's not just one individual in the household, but it's everybody in the household that's using it on a regular basis to watch streaming video? Okay. Fair bit, right? So I think that's kind of the point here. It's just, I was blown away by the veracity. First of all, the number of people that had this stuff, right? Like we've all seen the numbers, but seeing these participants come in and talk about it and talk about their experience and how many different devices they have in the house and how many different devices they're using to watch. And not only is it one TV, but it's often 2 TVs, and it's just like most of you showing your hands. It's more than one person in the household. It becomes one device becomes many, and then those devices are getting used by the entire household. So there's a voracious appetite for this stuff. And once it gets into the house, it just gets used and used and used. And the other thing is that when you look at the makeup of these folks, and again, we had different levels of experience with connected TV, from light viewers to heavy viewers, and different age groups as well. And one of the things that really came through was that across all of those, there's a really high level of sophistication when it comes to thinking about interacting with content on a television. And of course, what drives that is that they've had 2 decades plus of computer and internet experience, and now a decade of computers in your pockets experience that are sort of informing what they expect. And they expect instant gratification, they expect the ability to interact, and all of those things that they've learned from the internet are translating to the TV now.
So let's jump into the study. You saw it in the video. There were 3 key observations that we made, and then a couple of best practices each. So I'm going to hit the observations, and then Jeremy will go through the best practices. So the first observation is that this platform is really an opportunity to kind of surprise the user with an ad in a place they're not accustomed to seeing it. We've done actually research with IPG that shows that people are very Pavlovian in terms of their expectations of seeing ads. The connected TV, though, is an environment that they have no preconceived notion of where advertising is. So they became, in some cases, rather surprised. And yet they also wanted the ad to be TV-like. And you'll hear this theme over and over again, it is a new platform. It's not a TV and it's not a computer. It's sort of a hybrid of both. And you need to borrow from both in terms of designing an ad experience that will work for them, which then leads to the first best practices.
Yeah, so we've got a couple of best practices in this section, and the first one is just using animation to capture attention. We've heard this again in other channels. I think it's extremely important in this channel, especially when you think about the connected TV landscape or interface rather, and where these ads are appearing. There's often a picture-in-picture video window from the live content or whatever content is playing in the background. And then pretty much everything else on the screen tends to be a static app icon. So with just a little bit of animation in the ad, you can really draw the eye over there, right? So just thinking about how that's contextually relevant and using that little bit of animation to draw the eye. And then the second one is just being really careful about setting the expectations in the ad units. So a lot of these things are, it's a real short ad, and then you can click to a post-click experience, whether it's to a browser or a microsite-like experience that's sort of contained within the CTV interface. And it's extremely important to just manage the expectation. You need a really clear, simple, concise call to action, but then you've got to deliver on whatever expectation you're setting. There is this expectation of interactivity and value exchange, and that came through time and time again. And they expect that the call to action will align with the payoff. And this was the example we have here from our Best Buy client. They're promoting a $699 convertible laptop. And it was, it wasn't above the fold on the page that they went to. It was just slightly below the fold. You had to scroll down a little bit to find it, and that bugged people. So it's just how high, again, kind of back to the level of sophistication that these folks have. They have really high expectations of brands in this space. And the other thing with this one is it's also kind of challenging to be cute and clever. We had some messaging running that was kind of clever and funny. And it just didn't resonate. And I think part of it is, again, thinking about the context here. Yeah, you've got some animation, but it's not, it's only a few seconds. It's 15 or 30, it's not a 15 or 30 seconds here. It's very short. So it's hard to tell a story and sort of provide the context for, a really pithy punchline or anything like that. So that can be a little bit of a trip up.
So the second observation, after saying, wow, that's an ad, I'm a little bit surprised I saw an ad there, was the notion that we found that uniformly across all of them, they're engaging with these platforms because they do believe they're smarter than their existing TV. They do believe they can do things with this device that they can't do. So they are open to interaction. They do see that user interface on the smart TV screen or the OTT box, and it brings back the notion of your PC or your mobile device and the fact that you can interact with it, you can engage with it if you'd like. And then, this idea that there's a lot of expectations about what's possible because they also understand this screen is connected to the internet, which is different from their traditional TV. So they expect the ad experience to be more intelligent, more targeted, more relevant to them as it relates to engaging with these ads and not being annoyed by them, if you will, which leads then to a set of best practices.
So, we talked about sort of keeping the message simple in the last one, but I think it translates also to just keeping the interaction simple and relevant. Whenever I talk about relevance, I love to pull out this quote from Howard Gossage, who was a copywriter in the 50s, who said that people don't read advertising, they read what interests them, and sometimes it's an ad. And it's just a very eloquent way to speak to this point of relevance, and I think it's extremely important here. We want to utilize targeting whenever we can in the space. But it goes farther than that, right? Again, it's thinking about this contextual environment. We want to make sure that we're optimizing the post-click experience as much as possible for the large screen, right? So think about even reformatting the design of a website so that it's easier to read from 8 feet away and it's easier to navigate, sometimes with a remote that has nothing but left, down, upright, and select. It's not always a cursor and a mouse. So there's some limitations there that we have to think through as we're developing creative for this space. Also making content super easy and accessible. So in the Truvia example, one of the things that people really reacted to is they enjoyed the recipes that were there. But again, it wasn't, it was a couple of clicks away. And they really wanted that to be more, it's useful content, it's relevant content. They wanted that to be easier to access. And then they also wanted ways to transfer that to other devices, right? Because oftentimes the TV, of course, is not in the kitchen where you would want to use a recipe. So, I think there was a lot of folks that were saying, hey, that's really interesting, but I'd like to take that to my phone or to my laptop so that I can take it to the kitchen and use that.
And then finally, the last observation was, no duh, it is a TV. So they are sitting back, they are leaning back, they're usually in their living room or family room, which is an environment they're not used to leaning forward in. It is 8 feet away. The user interaction, the mechanisms that Jeremy just mentioned are still in their early phases in terms of people understanding how they can use gesture control or Bluetooth-enabled magic motion remotes, et cetera. So they want the advertising to take advantage of the large screen, so they have high expectations that the ad units be as exciting or compelling as ads that they see in traditional TV, and that the content that they get there, if they're going to engage with the ad and choose to, they should get some value out of it or be entertained by it in a way by, again, taking advantage of the fact of remembering they're not up close, remembering you need to use the advertising creative best practices that you use in capturing TV spots in the connected TV, which also is very different from the best practices that you use in designing digital video ads on a computer or a smartphone, which leads to, again, these sets now of best practices.
Yeah, so utilizing video to drive engagement. Again, it's a TV, and they're using it to watch video. Yeah, you can interact with it, and there's a lot of different ways that you can engage. But at the end of the day, it's a screen that's used for escape and entertainment. And so there's this expectation of video, not only from a content but from an advertising perspective. We also saw that, and you've seen similar studies to this as well, people actually would prefer to watch ads or engage with ads at the beginning of a program and then have limited interruptions throughout the rest of the program. Just because, again, it's about sort of immersion and escape. We also saw that there was, some folks were complaining about, frequent exposure to the same ad unit over and over. And there's a lot of nuances to that as well. It's a young space. There's some inventory challenges potentially. Capability exists to do frequency capping, but it's like that trade-off, right? And so if it's possible to have multiple ad units running in the space, that would be a best practice here as well, just to limit that wear out. And then, again, as Ed was saying, it's a TV, right? It's difficult. We try to bucket these things into like, well, is it a TV or is it more like, how does it act? Is it more like mobile or a desktop or a PC, right? And I think the reality is, and it's one of the things that we both struggled with and then sort of really came away with from the study is, it really is kind of a new thing. You can't put it in one of these buckets and treat it like something that we really know. But it has that entertainment and that escape component of TV. And so the priority there, is about, again, that entertainment. And so people, while they're likely to engage, they may not necessarily be willing to do, fill out a complicated form or make a purchase yet at this stage. So, we're thinking that most of this is higher level, higher funnel type of objectives. The interactivity certainly can support that. It's just that we don't want to expect people to sign up for a newsletter or make a purchase, at least not at this stage necessarily.
So we're running out of time, so I'll go through this really quickly again, just in summary. Best practices around is it an ad is to make it really clear and concise as to what you're offering and let them get to it quickly or opt out of it quickly if they're not interested. Keep the engagements, because it is a computer-like environment, but keep the engagements super simple. Because the user interface controls on this device are different from your smartphone or your computer. And then again, realize that it is a large screen. Use the best practices that you use in filming your TV creatives for these creatives as well. So the creative executions will be different on this platform than they are on mobile or PC. So we'll look real quickly, oops, wrong button. There's a few looking forward things that let Jeremy go through real quickly in terms of thoughts people had about the future.
Yeah, so just real quick, one of the things that we heard again, and kind of back to the Truvia example, people were interested in some of the ads that they had seen, but they don't always want to engage right away. They may want to come back. So is there a way to save or bookmark or email myself more information on this? I think there's also a search implication here, right? Just making sure that the content for what you're advertising, and this is generally a best practice, but it's especially true here, just making sure that it's easy to find via search engines and optimizing against that. And also the transferring across devices. So again, back to the Truvia example, there was a high level of interest in personalized ads. This one actually surprised me as well. We were trying to understand the balance of privacy and personalization, and I think people, by and large, are pretty receptive to targeting based even on their viewing history on the TV, but also into localization, so stores in my area. And then again, like I was saying before, they're not ready to purchase yet because the interface is too cumbersome, but if there's a capability in the future where it can store credit card and shipping information, then that is appealing for certain categories. So I think that's it.
Yeah, so that's it. It's just, think of it as we call it a sit back and engage platform. It is very unique and different. It takes the best of what you can do in digital and marries it with the best of TV, and you need to think of it as a unique and different platform. So I don't know if we have time for any questions.
We just ran out. Out of doubt.
Okay. All right.
All right, good.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.